All right, welcome back. This will be our second video where we just kind of refresh some stuff with Swift, or if you've never programmed with Swift before, well, this is even more perfect for you then. Let's play. So we're gonna mess around with an array. All right, so array spelled like that, not Ray like from Star Wars. And speaking of, let's actually make an array of, let's just say, Imperial type ships. Okay, so. Let's suppose these could be any type of data. Okay, so we're going to put in here any, right? Now, in the last video, we looked at string types, int types, and we could define our array like that. And probably more often than not, you will. But just for the sake of this lesson, let's use any over here. And let's see, we've got those ATATs, or ATs, as some people call them. I don't know. What is that Y-wing thing? Is that kind of the thing Kylo's rolling around in? Oh, let's just say Imperial Cruiser. Now that I think about it, I don't think it is a Y-wing he's in. And then let's just suppose that the Imperials want to covertly call some ship by just a number, right? So whatever, there we go. We got a number in there. And that's okay, because we've defined this as any type, so we can throw any old thing in here, right? And that's good enough for right now. Okay, then let's come over here and we'll just say, Imperial ships as strings. And again, this will be an array, but this time around, let's just go with our strict little string type over here. And we can initialize this with nothing at all if we want. Okay, so we could just kind of spit back that it's going to be a string type. In fact, if we do that, we don't even really have to put that over there, but you can. Okay, so basically, anytime you see these opening and closing straight brackets over here with the type in here, that means that type of array is going to strictly take string types, int types, whatever it is. So here's this kind of a hypothetical here. Let's say for ship in, and then let's use our Imperial ships array that actually has some data in there. So let's iterate through every one of the items in here. So ship, and well, I guess that would be more like vehicle for AT-AT, whatever. And need to bone up on my Imperial ships. And what we'll do is we'll add some of them over here to our Imperial ships as strings, right? So this will go through 4 times for as many things that we've got in there. And what we'll do is we'll say if let some ship string equals as ship, and then we're going to say, or I'm sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Ship as string. There we go. So if let some ship, it's going to be a string type, equals ship as string, then we're going to do what's inside of here. And let's break down this statement. So this ship right here refers to this variable, okay, that we, for as many times as we iterate through here, the first time around, this is going to equal AT-AT. The second time around, it's going to equal Y-wing. Third, that, and so on. So basically what we're saying is if we can create this new variable called some ship as a string out of this, right, then proceed on to what's inside of the interior brackets over here. So the only time this is going to fail is with our number over here, because it's going to look at this and go, well, wait a minute, that is not a string, that's a number. Okay, so just skip it, right? So then at this point, what we get is we can say Imperial ships as strings dot append, and we're going to take some ship, if I could spell, some ship, and add it to this list over here. All right, so by the end of this, Imperial ships as strings should only be these 3 items over here, and we should be able to just print that out. So we'll say Imperial ships as strings, and let's see what the compiler has to say for us. It's thinking about it. There we go. All right, so it's got that in there. And then, if you wanted to just kind of test out the opposite thing, you could just do this. You can see if oh, well, all right, so here's the problem with this. It can't, even though this succeeds over here, right, it can't crowbar this type value, an integer, into Imperial ships as strings, because we're basically setting this up to only allow string types in there. Now, of course, if we change that around, then we should see something successful over here. And give it a sec to think about it, and sure enough, there it goes. You can see how that worked. So let's go back and reverse it again. There we go. And then, other kind of useful things to know about just arrays in general. Like, so if you wanted to remove everything, you could go remove at a particular index. Okay, so let's say we wanted to remove the first item inside of here. Okay, so that would get rid of the AT-AT, or you could remove everything inside of the array. You could make another variable, let's say var, let's say about vehicles with legs. Okay, so that's going to be a string type, and let's make that equal to our imperial ships. And then to identify the first item in here, we would just put in here a 0. Okay, second item would be 1, and so on like that. So if you wanted to then print out vehicles with legs, just only see what that is. And okay, well, hey, here we're still learning. This is telling us that hey, you know what? I can't do this for you. I can't force this to be this any type to be a string over here. Now let's see what happens if we just get rid of that. Okay, so in this case, it's actually succeeding over here, right? Now, if you were absolutely certain that this was a string type, you could actually force it. You could say as, and then use this exclamation point over here to force that to be a string. So let's see if that succeeds for us, right? So again, we're getting that out over there. Let's try to break it. Let's see if we can crash the program. So we're gonna now take our third item inside of there, and I'm sorry. Well, we put 3 over here, but that's actually our fourth item because we're starting 0, 1, 2, and then 3, right? And when we do this, it's telling us error, execution was interrupted, and that's basically telling us that we crashed over here because we tried, and this is kind of the danger with forcing things, we tried to force a string value out of that. So if you weren't certain, right, then what you do is something like this over here. We basically do a test to see if so this little question mark over here is kind of the friendly version of what we just did with our exclamation mark. We're saying, well, okay, if flag man, you can make this thing into this other thing, do it. Otherwise, if you can't, it's cool. Lebowski it a little bit. I got a rash, man. So let's see. Did we? Let's go back and well, I guess we'll leave that in here. That's kind of a iffy solution. And as a programmer, I guess you kind of a lot of times you for certain if something is going to be a particular value or not. And also this is kind of in some sense maybe a lesson to not make an array that's just going to be any type. At times though, you're not going to actually know that. So when you're setting up, let's say, data for your game, and you're kind of hard coding it in like this, you're probably going to know all the different types of data. If you're pulling data off the internet, like you're getting JSON data or XML data or something like that, then maybe that's a case where you're not exactly sure what the data type is going to be. So then you gotta do something like this where you're basically casting something as something else and checking to see if it succeeds or not. Okay, so we've looked at iterating through those arrays. We have appended things in here. I guess actually the only thing we haven't really done yet is just in terms of the basic things is check the count of it. So you can at any time you can just print out or test whatever the how many items are in a particular array, right? So you could say print count, and it's showing you 4, and that becomes useful if you're doing things like if imperial ships that count is greater than, let's say, 0, right? Then for sure it's got some data in there, and then you can proceed doing something. Or you could do something like this. You could say if imperial ships dot count equals 0, then you might return out of whatever function that you're currently writing things in. So that would basically kind of kill the function at that point. So you might have other things down here, after this that you want to do, if it's greater than 0. So yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for this. Hey, well, 10 minutes, that's not too bad. 10-minute lesson on arrays, and I'll see you next time.